The Cincinnati Reds have found one way to overachieve in 2026, and that's anytime you think it can't get more ridiculous, this team says, hold my beer.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Jeff. He's Steve. And on today's Locked On Reds podcast that is brought to you by FanDuel. By the way, make every goal matter in the World Cup over on FanDuel every single day. Go check out FanDuel.com today. We are going to talk a lot about why it's gone so bad here recently. And I mean, the season's not over just yet, but man, it feels like it's getting old quick with everything that's going on with this Reds team. And we're going to look at whether or not this is a blip or a pattern. And is there some sort of precedent for what's going on where they're at? In just a few minutes, we're going to really dive into the bullpen breakdown that has happened ever since the month of April. But we're going to begin with just the big picture of it all, because Steve, on May 1st, this team was in first place in the NL Central. And right now they are so far down that it's like you see those videos or those movies where people go underwater and they're looking back up at the surface and the light slowly fades. There's just this little bit of light, but it's not a lot. It's real dark down here.
You know, the abyss is a great way to describe this team right now, Jeff. I don't even know where to begin. It's so bad.
There's a lot.
That I don't know where to begin. You look at where things have gone, and you try and decide where do you want to point fingers and where do you want to place blame. Do you want to blame Terry Francona? And there are some things that squarely fall on Terry Francona's shoulder. Do you want to blame the lineup and how they collectively kind of all forgot how to play baseball? And there are still some bright spots in that lineup. And you look at the starting pitching and you're just like, where'd they go? Where they were the strength, where'd they go? And you keep coming back to this bullpen that we're going to talk about in the second segment, which is, I don't really want to talk about this bullpen, Jeff, but we're gonna do it. So, for me, I think that to put a finger on what changed between April and May, I don't know if we can do that. And it's lazy and it's easy to be like, well, guys got hurt. Things didn't go the way they go. I think where I would start, Jeff, is just the fact that they played guys for far too long that have no business being in the lineup. And there's still a couple of those right now, but just for far too much loyalty for guys that clearly just don't have it right now.
We are pumped for the weekends that Matt McLain and Tyler Stephenson had, because guess what, baby? They're over 200 right now, because they haven't been over 200 all season. It's been that bad. And there's some other guys that are starting to step up a little bit in the lineup. I have enjoyed seeing Edwin Arroyo really start to show his contact prowess at the plate. He's gotten on base a good amount in the St. Louis series that the Reds just completely just threw away in 3 straight games. But there were definitely a few bright spots in the lineup. But for the most part, the lineup is kind of where you begin, because every single guy that we said was either an X factor or he could be, maybe a dark horse to really be an asset to this team hasn't. And Noelvi Marte is back up here. He's not playing for whatever reason, but he's back up in the major leagues. But he was an X factor, not doing much. You had Matt McLain being kind of like the fulcrum of this team, where it's just like, man, if he goes real good, this lineup could go real good. Hasn't quite gotten there yet. And then even the guys at the top who are healthy, because Elly De La Cruz isn't healthy right now, but Sal Stewart and JJ Bleday, who've kind of been the crux of the lineup the last month or so, they kind of had a little bit of a slow series in St. Louis. So I think that ultimately the lineup has been a key part of this collapse. It's hard to say that it's just the bullpen. It's just managerial decisions. It's just this. It's just that. It's just injuries. It's everything. But you have to look at the lineup that definitely in moments as well. Like we all know, you don't need the numbers for runners in scoring position. We know if a guy stands on second base, it's not always a good time around here. So there's so much of that has to start with the guys at the plate, because now, especially with how things have moved with the pitching staff, they need to go even more so than what they have been.
I think for me, the lineup of the three segments of this team, the lineup, the starting pitching, the bullpen, the lineup of those three segments is at least maybe for me the one that's moving in the right direction, or at least it's starting to hedge that way. I mean, let's look at it objectively. They replaced TJ Friedel at the top of this lineup, who was hitting 170. They replaced him with Blake Dunn, who as of right now, while we're recording, is hitting 300 and batting leadoff for the Cincinnati Reds.
He's looking good.
You have Matt McLain, who was a black hole in the number 2 spot for a long, long time. You've got JJ Bleday up there now. He's hitting 274. Sal Stewart still hitting 253 after cooling way, way off from his hot start. He continues to show signs that he's trying to adjust, and I think that he will. I'm not worried about him at all just yet. Nate Lowe's been a bright spot. He's hitting 250. He was 2 for 3 in yesterday's game. He is, the epitome of a professional hitter. He's done it before. He'll continue to do it. I like him in this lineup. Spencer Steer has been solid the whole year. You've got all the way down now. We're to Will Benson, who was the only guy in yesterday's lineup that is still hitting sub 200. After the game yesterday, his batting average is 191. Matt McLain, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, 3 home runs in 2 days. This is what he does. He shows us signs. He reminds us of the potential, and then he stops doing it. I need him to continue it forward. He brought his batting average up over 200. He's now hitting 206. Tyler Stephenson, 3 for 4, a triple short of the cycle, ladies and gentlemen, in yesterday's game. His batting average is now up to 203. And then the aforementioned Edwin Arroyo is hitting 214, batting at the bottom of this lineup. This is a much better lineup than what was out there the second week of May. So they have moved that lineup in a positive direction. When this team gets Elly De La Cruz back, who we heard they've moved up his MRI, they're going to run that 2 days sooner than they originally had planned. Ellie's walking around. He's doing some light jogging. He's doing some fielding on his knees only to protect the hamstring. He's trying to stay sharp. Elly De La Cruz is not going to wait to come back. Much to my chagrin, I don't want the Reds to bring him back early, but they are going to. Ellie's going to be back in this lineup. And then maybe you can get into position where you're not playing Will Benson anymore, through some juggling and keeping guys around. That's for another segment on another show. I have an idea, but the lineup continues to get better. So in that phase of this thing, Jeff, there's some hope, and we're right back to where we started the offseason, which is hope is going to be the 2026 MVP. Hope was the strategy. Hope is the thing. Well, we're right back in that lane, Jeff, because I hope this lineup can hit. I hope the starting pitchers get healthy and can carry this team. And I hope, for the love of God, that somebody in this bullpen establish itself to hold a lead.
Right. And that's the thing. We're definitely going to really break down this bullpen in just a moment, but make no mistake about it. When you look at a team that has a run differential like the Cincinnati Reds, it's not all because they have bad pitching, because they're not giving up 20 runs a game here. It's because they're only scoring a couple of runs a game, on top of the fact that they're giving up 6, 7, 8 runs a game. And so there's a combination, right? Yesterday being 6, 7. There's a combination of things. And with the lineup being as bad as it had been for a long period of time, and hopefully it's coming out of that malaise for good for the rest of the season, it's going to need to do a lot, because it's got to cover a group that I don't think either one of us see getting better. The World Cup is here, and now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in the match. more goals mean more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token over at FanDuel.com. Of course, you can still follow along with the Reds all throughout baseball season as the Reds head to San Diego tonight. You got Andrew Abbott on the mound going up against Walker Buehler for the Padres. I'm going to bring back a classic. Shout out to friend of the podcast, Mo Egger, on this one. Back to the years whenever we couldn't trust the Reds bullpen. You know, like right now when we can't trust the Reds bullpen. Take the first 5 money line when the good starting pitcher's on the mound for the Redlegs, and Andrew Abbott, he's one of them good ones. Taking the first 5 money line for the Redlegs, minus 106 against the Padres tonight. That's over at FanDuel right now. Got to check out FanDuel during the World Cup, during the rest of the baseball season, because from the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started right now.
ED is way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point, and that's exactly why HIMS offers a straightforward way to handle it. HIMS connects you with a licensed healthcare provider online, giving you access to legitimate ED treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process that makes it easier to take care of yourself. The whole process is simple. You just complete a quick online intake, and a provider reviews your information. If treatment is right for you, it ships directly to your door in a discreet package, which makes the whole experience feel private and stress-free. They also offer options like sildenafil, the generic for Viagra, at a fraction of the cost, plus other treatments, so you can find what works best for you. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, just visit hims.com/lockedonmlb. That's hims.com/lockedonmlb for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonmlb. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMS is not affiliated or endorsed by Viatris. You already live this team each and every day. You're watching the bullpen with us each and every day. Elevate your game. You can become an everydayer. You can get ad-free Locked On Reds so that you can hear about this bullpen without the ads. $5 a month, $50 a year. You're going to get ad-free Locked On Reds in the audio feed. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer so that you can hear about this bullpen. Jeff, this bullpen is historically bad. They're bad. Terrible. Wait, just hang on. They're bad. They're really, really bad. Our group chat yesterday, for those that would like to come on the inside, home runs from my guy, Matt McLain. Home runs from my guy. Everybody pull up a chair. Home runs from my guy, Tyler Stephenson. I'm having a great time. But then it hit me. They're eventually going to go to the bullpen. So I fire off a text to the group chat that says, hey guys, I'm having fun. That is until they go to the bullpen. Tim Daniel replies, don't say that. And then we saw what happened. They went to the bullpen. It was terrible. Jeff, there is nobody left down there that I trust coming into a game. Not one single person. Maybe Caleb Ferguson, but certainly not in the fourth inning. I don't have a reasonable explanation. I don't have an intelligent response to why you would keep letting any of these people pitch, other than Francona's got to point to somebody.
Where else are you gonna go?
Cheers to that.
That's kind of got to be the answer at this point, because opening day, the Reds bullpen, they had Emilio Pagán as the closer. They had Tony Santillan as the setup man. You had Graham Ashcraft in there as the setup man. You had Caleb Ferguson on the injured list, but he was the guy that we had up there. That was like the top four, the leaders there. And then you had some X factors like, man, Connor Phillips, he showed some stuff at the end of last year. And there could be something from this Pierce Johnson guy. He's got a lot of postseason experience. Reds got a good lefty from Los Angeles and Brock Burke. And Sam Maul, Sam Maul pitched pretty good in 2023 and 2024. Had a rough 2025. Let's see if he can bounce back. So, okay, let's see what we got with these guys. Well, Emilio Pagán hurt. Tony Santillan, super ineffective. Graham Ashcraft hurt, Pierce Johnson hurt, and everyone else has been ineffective. Caleb Ferguson has only thrown in 5 ball games. So if you know who he is, well, first of all, I don't know why he's throwing so early in ball games anyway, but I don't know who he is at this point. And so whatever this bullpen is, it looks like what we got. And that's the hardest part of all of this, that as much as we love to preach optimism and just wait for this team to turn around, man, they've got the talent to win ball games. This bullpen does not. And that's going to be the hardest thing for me in the year of our Lord 2026, because I think that they can reset things during the offseason, but they can't do it during the season. And that's going to be just the thing that you come back to every single day, because you're right, Steve. There's going to be a point where the opposition has a chance to come back. And if the lineup hasn't built some sort of astronomical lead by the time that the game is getting into the 7th, 8th, 9th innings, I'm worried that the Reds will lose whatever lead they might have.
There is nobody down there right now that's reliable. There is nobody down there right now that truly has a command of what they're
There's no hierarchy.
And
There's
a command
no
of the strike zone. But let me throw this number at you, Jeff. The Reds have had 19 pitchers pitch in relief for them in 2026.
19?
Of those 19.
Ugh.
Of those 19 pitchers, regardless of how many games they've pitched, of those 19 pitchers, there are exactly 3 of those relief pitchers that have a walks per 9 less than 3.5. Exactly 3. TJ Antone is the best of them at a walks per 9 of 3, Jeff Carr. There, you've got everything else falling on their face. It is wild to me that this is the space that we've arrived in. I mean, you've got Antone 3, you've got Pierce Johnson, who's now on the injured list at 3.3, and that's pretty much it.
And
the only guys not walking.
Nothing of the hard hit balls that guys are giving up, the home runs that guys are giving up, the string them together. Like we see this all too often with Sam Maul, where he comes into a ball game and it's just single here, single there, single there. All of a sudden, either the bases are loaded or he's already given up a run. And in the case of Chris Paddock, who he just joined the bullpen, so it's not as if we can say that he's been a part of this whole mess the whole time, but he himself has had a mess of a season. After coming into the game on Sunday, he faces 4 batters and he gives up 3 runs. Over the course of a game where the Reds had 4 innings pitched to that point between Rhett Lauder and Caleb Ferguson, and while Rhett Lauder had allowed a lot of base runners via walk, he didn't allow any runs. So just to see how this thing evolves, if you're talking about any more than 3 innings that the Reds bullpen has to cover, it's just not going to happen. They're just not going to win. And covering really 3 innings sounds like yep. and there's not, like, I would love to say, yeah, Pierce Johnson coming back is going to fix this. It's not. Emilio Pagán coming back is going to fix this. It's not.
Pierce Johnson is really the only one that's coming back that's going to make this bullpen better. We don't know that Emilio Pagán is going to be coming back anytime soon. And you know how I feel about
he was rough before he got hurt.
He was, that was a pretty significant hamstring injury. And Graham Ashcraft's not coming back. I mean, they haven't outright said that yet. All of the stars are saying Graham Ashcraft's not
he went 0 to 60 right away. Went to the 60-day IL.
Yeah.
Right away. That's not usually a sign we'll see you in July.
That leaves only one real way to fix this bullpen. There is nobody knocking around Louisville that you can call up that's going to fix this bullpen. There's nobody coming back from injury that is going to fix this bullpen. The only way the Reds can right that particular ship is to go out and get an arm, and they needed to do it yesterday. They cannot continue to wait. If they're going to roll with this bullpen the rest of 2026, it could be a very, very long summer.
I think they got to – Do you remember, like, and this was back in those years when the Reds really had bad bullpens because they were just not investing in the bullpen because they had so much other stuff going on that they were trying to build. And they're just like, whatever, every part of our bullpen is going to be major league minimum, non-roster invites, something like that. They probably need to bring that back at least for the rest of the year and see if they hit on one or two of those guys. Just start running them through, bring them in. Like you said, they've already thrown 19 guys in relief appearances. Like, what are you protecting at this point? And Connor
that,
Phillips,
by the way,
proven it.
19 did not include Jose Trevino or PJ Higgins, who have both pitched in relief. Also, I excluded them.
Too much. And by
the way, Jose Trevino, just for funsies, guys, Jose Trevino has a walk per 9 of 1.8. So he's much better than anybody else pitching down there.
What's his ERA again?
Oh my God. I can't.
28 or something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But no, it's the bullpen is the reason that we are so down today, because that's the one thing that we don't see getting better, and it's going to have to if the big picture is going to get better. And that is why this really doesn't feel like just a blip. But is there a precedent for the Reds dealing with this sort of position in the season and coming out of it? It's sooner than you think.
Hey, it's Mike and John from Locked On Angels. We wanted to talk to you about something that's important, and that's your family.
I've been married a few years now, and my wife and I have a 1-year-old, and we're always thinking about his future. Who's he going to become? How can we help? And what ways can we make sure his future is secure?
Yeah, I'm in a different season. I'm married. I have 3 young adult kids, and lately I've been thinking a lot about how to make sure my family's taken care of in the long term.
This is why life insurance matters, not because it solves everything, but because it helps provide financial security for the people you love the most.
And that's where Ethos comes in. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and even get same-day coverage, and there's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions online, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month.
So take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb.
Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary. Rates may vary.
Thank you for making Locked On Reds part of your day. You can always continue the conversation with us after the show is over. You can follow me on social media, whether it's on X or on TikTok at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can follow Steve on X at S Offenbaker with 2 Fs. And you can follow the show at Locked On Reds. That's on every social media app out there. All right, Steve, when it comes to what we've seen, this collapse and how things have fallen since the beginning of May, I don't believe it's a blip, and I would love to say that it is. It seems like a pattern. And that's kind of why I wanted to put this out there, because I feel like that's what Reds fans are grasping at, is like, is this something that's going to go away very soon? But as much as I do see it as a pattern, they were in a very similar spot last year. And last year, they were 1 game under 500. Now they're 2 games under 500 right now. But they were 1 game under 500 and 8.5 games out of first place in the NL Central. Oddly enough, that was not to Milwaukee. That was to the Cubs. Don't tell our friends over at Locked On Cubs, because they're not happy with where they are either right now. And they spent a lot more money on their roster. Anyway, I digress. The whole point is the Reds were in the same position last year as to where they are this year. The difference is the rest of the National League is much better. And oddly enough, the New York Mets, they were on top of the National League at this point last year. So let's just have some fun with that for 2 seconds, thinking about that. But they were able to come out of that and make a wild card spot. I don't see that happening this year, though. 2 reasons. They don't have somebody that's going to collapse like the Mets did. And they don't have the pitching that they had last year, albeit with a very similar group of guys. I cannot fathom how this pitching has just completely collapsed on them so bad.
There's a slim avenue. I mean, I'm with you. It doesn't seem likely. There is a slim avenue in that Lodolo seems to be improving a little bit. Andrew Abbott's better than he was at the beginning of the year. Hunter Green is now projected to get back before the All-Star break versus after.
Yeah.
Chase Burns has been electric. And hopefully Rhett Lauder. And by the way, that start from Rhett Lauder yesterday, that was not a real big league start. Anybody that thinks that was a real big league start is not paying attention. That was his second rehab start. He was on a strict pitch count. I don't think he pitched at all how he is going to. So there's still hope for the starting rotation. We talked about the lineup already. I think they have made some tweaks that will move this lineup in a better direction. So it all boils back down to them going out and adding something to this bullpen, and they can't wait till the trade deadline to do it. That's the thin little avenue, Jeff. That's how they can keep this from being a completely lost season. And I hope that the powers that be, Nick, I hope you're watching. We know you do. Listen here. Go get some bullpen help today. Pick up the phone and call somebody and get some bullpen help today. That's really
Agents
the way.
For other GMs, somebody.
Yeah,
call
somebody. That's really the only way they can right this ship. Because you can kind of hope and see areas and avenues for those other two segments of the team to get better. The bullpen needs some infusion of outside talent. And then you can talk about the wild card. Right now, I don't know that with a straight face we can even talk about the wild card, Jeff, because they continue to just blow game after game after game. Right now, they're in the hunt for a wild card, and that's what makes it make sense to go try and get somebody and fix these things. But they're not a legitimate contender for anything right now other than to lose ball games late. That's the only thing they're a contender for. Something has to give.
And the part of that worries me, because you mentioned, Nick Krall, pick up the phone, make a call. He continues to make those comments of, well, we just gotta do this and then we'll see where we are. We just got to do that and we'll reassess. And it's all about, what could happen rather than what he could do. And that's why it's so frustrating, because like you talk about different areas to place blame and stuff like that. And I think I come back to a lot of blame is deserved on his part, because we are looking at this and it's not a case of, yes, they've got waves of talent in the minor leagues that are ready to come up in the next couple of years. And so maybe they could reposture themselves for next year. Like, we're kind of looking at this now as like, this is Elly's window with the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds need to maximize the final years that he is a Red. There's a couple more years left. And it's already starting to feel like you can chalk 2026 up to another year where they're not going to advance in the playoffs. And it feels like Elly would be part of a team that would be able to do that. And so they are continuing to just miss on so many different things that it's so concerning to see that this is what we are talking about on June 8th, 2026, because we have had this conversation last year. We had this conversation in 2024. We had this conversation at the trade deadline in 2023. We are going back in time so much and saying the exact same things of what we are saying right now, that it's not just a Nick Krall problem. It is a systemic problem throughout the entire organization. And unless they are able to reassess themselves in the offseason and see what they need to do, then we really have to put the hope in the players on the field just getting better and just performing better. Because I don't know that the leadership that we have in place is going to be able to fix this. It's got to be the guys that are actually picking up the bat, picking up the glove, throwing the ball, running the bases. They've got to fix this, because it doesn't feel like anybody else is going to do it.
No. I was trying to decide how mad to be at Terry Francona. Can't be mad at him for the bullpen. I mean, he's got to pick somebody. He's not out there, injuring the starting pitchers on, it's not him. So he doesn't have any control of that. The lineup, I give him some blame there for some of the way things were handled. But at the end of the day, he's got to work with what he's given. And Nick Krall assembled this team under the parameters given to him by the Castellinis. And that was spend this much money and do the best you can. Well, maybe it's time to start having some conversations about how Nick Krall's best he can is not good enough. And that might be where we are.
The only thing that and this is where we go down a rabbit hole, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today, but just a preview of that rabbit hole is, what are the odds that if they get rid of Nick Krall, they just promote Brad Metter the next hour after that?
Oh, that's exactly what'll happen. There wouldn't. I don't even know that there would be a search. I mean, they might say there's going to be a search, but that's exactly what it happened.
And that's where I have such consternation, not in Brad Metter personally, but in the fact that it's just keeping it within the organization, keeping it status quo, because that's what these Reds do, baby. They get rid of the peaks, they get rid of the valleys, and they play 500 ball. Anyway, we'll be back with you tomorrow. We've got some more stuff to talk about because we got to figure out the answer to the problem of leadoff. And has Blake done that guy? We'll discuss that on tomorrow's Locked On Reds podcast. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We're going to be with you every single day. We're going to try to inject some optimism where optimism is due. We're going to really dissect the things that need to be called out because this Reds team is not where it should be. It just isn't. And it's got to get there. And I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I'd really like it to be because we entered this year with division expectations, and those certainly are going to get missed unless some drastic things happen. But we're going to be covering that all the way right here on the Locked On Reds podcast. And, of course, you got Tim Daniel live at the end of every ball game. You can also check out Locked On MLB to get 3 different shows giving you a league-wide perspective. That's all over on the Locked On MLB channel. But as for Tim, Steve, and myself, we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
There's a study a few years ago that said Cincinnati sports fans drink more than any other fan base. This is why.
Yeah. Hard to argue.